Today we're explaining 401k plans, the retirement scam that's convinced an entire generation they can compound interest their way to financial freedom, while Wall Street skims fees off the top and your employer matches pennies on the dollar. Not the clean time in the market beats timing the market bullshit from financial advisors, but the real math where expense ratios compound against you. Target date funds are designed for mediocrity, and you realize you've been funding your fund manager's yacht while planning to eat cat food at 70. 3 reformed financial planners, 1 actuary who's seen the death projections, and 45 minutes of pure fiscal horror. I'm Jake, and someone's retirement dreams are definitely dying.
I administered 401k plans for Fortune 500 companies for 12 years. 12 years. The marketing materials talk about retirement readiness and financial wellness. Reality. I watched thousands of people contribute religiously to plans designed to underperform while generating massive fees for fund companies. The average participant will retire with 60% less than they need, and that's if the market cooperates.
My job is reverse engineering 401k fees. You know what your low-cost target date fund actually costs? Try 1.2% when you factor in underlying fund fees, 12b1 fees, administrative fees, and wrap fees. On a $100k balance, that's $1,200 per year. Over 30 years with compound growth, you just paid $500,000 for the privilege of mediocre returns.
I calculate retirement adequacy for a living. The numbers are terrifying. The median 401k balance for people aged 55 to 64 is $120,000. That generates about $500 per month in retirement income. Social Security might add $1,800. Can you live on $2,300 per month? Because that's your golden years.
Dr. Park, walk us through this mathematical hellscape. Sarah and Marcus, prepare to explain why compound interest became our enemy. No mercy, no feel-good retirement planning seminars.
Let's start with the basics. What is a 401k actually supposed to do?
It's supposed to be a tax-advantaged retirement savings vehicle where you contribute pre-tax dollars. Your employer maybe matches some percentage, and compound growth over decades creates enough wealth for retirement.
That's the marketing pitch. What does the math actually show?
The math shows that fees compound against you faster than most people's contributions compound for them. A 1% annual fee doesn't sound like much, but it's actually stealing 25 to 30% of your total retirement wealth over a 30-year period.
Show me that calculation. How does 1% become 25%?
Compound interest works both ways. If you contribute $500 monthly for 30 years at 7% returns with no fees, you end up with about $612,000. With a 1% annual fee, you end up with $454,000. That's $158,000 in fees, 26% of what you could have had.
What about employer matching? Isn't that free money?
It's not free, it's deferred compensation that was already yours. Companies reduced wages and offered 401k matches instead of pension contributions. The average match is 3% of salary. The average pension was worth 15 to 20% of salary. You got screwed and thanked them for it.
Explain target date funds. Why does everyone default into them?
Because they're legally safe for employers. Target date funds automatically adjust asset allocation as you age more stocks when young, more bonds when old. Sounds smart, but they're designed for the average person who doesn't exist. One size fits all, investing for unique financial situations.
What's wrong with that approach mathematically?
They optimize for not getting sued, not for returns. Target date funds have higher fees than index funds, hold cash unnecessarily, and shift to bonds way too early. A 40-year-old in a 2045 target fund might have 30% bonds. Why? You have 25 years until retirement, you should be 90% stocks.
What about the tax advantages? Isn't that worth something?
Traditional 401k contributions are tax-deferred, not tax-free. You'll pay taxes on withdrawals in retirement. If tax rates go up or you're in a higher bracket later, you lose. Plus, required minimum distributions at 73 can push you into higher tax brackets when you're trying to preserve wealth.
What about Roth 401k options?
Roth contributions are after tax, so no immediate deduction, but withdrawals are tax-free. Sounds great until you realize most people are in higher tax brackets when working than when retired. You're paying taxes at peak rates to avoid taxes at lower rates. The math often doesn't work.
How much should people actually contribute to hit retirement targets?
Financial advisors say 10 to 15% of income. The actual math? You need to save 20 to 25% of gross income starting in your 20s to maintain your lifestyle in retirement. Most people contribute 6 to 8%. They're mathematically fucked and don't know it yet.
What happens if someone starts saving late, say, age 40?
They need to save 40 to 50% of their income to catch up. Compound interest is powerful, but time is more powerful. Start at 25 and save 15%, you might be okay. Start at 40 and save 15%, you'll work until you die. The math is brutal and unforgiving.
What about 401k loans? Can people access their money early?
401k loans let you borrow from yourself up to 50% of your balance or $50,000. Sounds reasonable until you realize you're paying interest to yourself with after-tax dollars, missing market gains on borrowed money, and if you lose your job, the loan becomes a taxable distribution plus 10% penalty.
What's the vesting schedule scam?
Employer matches often have vesting schedules. You don't own the match immediately. Typical schedule: 20% after 2 years, 40% after 3 years, 100% after 6 years. Companies design these to recapture match money when employees leave. It's not free money if you never get to keep it.
What about early withdrawal penalties?
Withdraw before 59.5 and you pay a 10% penalty plus income taxes. On a $50,000 withdrawal, that's $5,000 penalty plus maybe $15,000 in taxes. You lose 40% to the government for accessing your own money. It's a prison with compound interest.
How do hardship withdrawals work?
You can withdraw for immediate and heavy financial need: medical bills, home purchase, tuition, preventing foreclosure. Sounds helpful until you realize you still pay the 10% penalty and taxes, plus you can't contribute for 6 months afterward. They make accessing your money as painful as possible.
What's the biggest lie about 401k plans?
That they're adequate retirement savings vehicles. 401k plans were originally designed as supplemental savings for executives, not replacement pensions for everyone. The average American can't save enough in a 401k to maintain their lifestyle in retirement. It's mathematically impossible for most people.
What about 401k plan fiduciary responsibility?
Employers are supposed to act in participants' best interests, but they often choose expensive funds that pay revenue sharing to reduce their own plan costs. The fees come out of your returns, but the employer saves money. It's legal theft disguised as fiduciary duty.
What's the biggest operational nightmare of 401k management?
Rollover confusion when people change jobs. Most people either cash out, paying penalties and taxes, or leave money in old plans accumulating fees. The average person has 12 jobs over their career. That's potentially 12 different 401k accounts with different fees, investments, and rules. It's administrative chaos by design.
How do we fix this broken system?
Bring back pensions, eliminate fund company middlemen, create portable benefits that follow workers, mandate fee transparency, or just expand Social Security. But none of that will happen because too much money is being made off the current broken system.
Final question: what's the most dangerous misconception about 401k plans?
That contributing to your 401k is sufficient for retirement. People think they're being responsible, saving 6 to 10% of their income, but they're actually setting themselves up for poverty in old age. The math doesn't work, but nobody wants to tell them.
That it's better than nothing. Sometimes nothing is better than a bad plan that locks up your money, charges excessive fees, and gives you false confidence about your retirement security. Cash under the mattress might actually be superior to some 401k plans.
Jesus Christ, so we've replaced guaranteed pensions with fee-laden gambling accounts, convinced people that 10% savings rates will work when they need 25%, and created a system where financial companies get rich regardless of participant outcomes. This is fine.
Welcome to American retirement planning. We privatize the risks and socialize the fees. The house always wins and you're not the house.
This episode was brought to you by FinancePanic, where we strip away the financial planning bullshit and show you the brutal mathematical reality. Because understanding why you'll probably work until you die is probably important. We're back. Let's talk about the practical nightmare of actually managing these accounts. Sarah, what's the most frustrating part of 401k participant behavior?
People treat their 401k like a savings account they can raid for emergencies. I've seen participants take loans for vacations, cars, home renovations. They think they're borrowing from themselves, but they're stealing from their future selves. The opportunity cost is devastating.
The investment paralysis. Plans offer 20 to 30 fund options. Most people pick 3 to 4 randomly or just go with target date defaults. They're overwhelmed by choice and end up making terrible decisions. More options doesn't mean better outcomes.
And the auto-enrollment trap. Plans automatically enroll people at 3% contribution rates. They never increase it and think they're saving adequately. 3% contributions guarantee poverty in retirement, but people don't realize it until it's too late.
What about company stock in 401k plans? Isn't that building wealth?
Company stock concentration is financial suicide. Your job and your retirement savings both depend on the same company. When Enron collapsed, employees lost their jobs and their retirement savings simultaneously. It's the opposite of diversification.
Plus, employer stock is often overvalued in 401k plans. Companies encourage stock purchases through matches or discounts, creating artificial demand. Employees think they're getting a deal, but they're actually concentrating risk in the worst possible way.
The behavioral psychology is designed to exploit cognitive biases. People overweight recent performance, chase returns, panic sell during downturns, and never rebalance. The system profits from human psychological weaknesses.
What keeps you up at night about 401k plans?
The coming retirement crisis. Baby boomers had pensions and Social Security. Gen X and millennials have 401k plans and wishful thinking. In 20 years, we'll have millions of elderly Americans with inadequate retirement savings and nowhere to turn.
The fee compounding effect accelerating. As 401k balances grow, the absolute dollar impact of fees becomes enormous. A 1% fee on a $1 million balance is $10,000 per year. Retirees will pay more in fees than they ever contributed.
That we've created a retirement system that works for fund companies and employers but fails participants. It's the greatest wealth transfer in history, from workers to Wall Street, and it's perfectly legal.
Any advice for people trapped in 401k plans?
Maximize any employer match. It's the only good part of the deal. Then contribute to Roth IRAs with low-cost index funds. If you must use the 401k, stick to the lowest-cost broad market index funds and ignore everything else.
Audit your plan fees annually. Demand fee transparency from HR. Consider rolling old 401k accounts to low-cost IRA providers when you change jobs. Every basis point of fees matters over decades.
Save way more than you think you need. The 10 to 15% rule is a lie. Save 25% of gross income if possible, diversify beyond 401k plans, and prepare for the possibility that Social Security won't be there. Plan for the worst-case scenario.
This has been Finance Panic. We've learned that 401k plans are fee extraction mechanisms disguised as retirement benefits. Compound interest works against you when fees are involved, and the American retirement system is basically a pyramid scheme. Sleep tight.
Thanks for the existential crisis, Dr. Park. Now I'm going back to calculating how many people will outlive their money and pretending that's not my fault.
And I need to explain to my family why our conservative, target date fund has higher fees than a Las Vegas casino and worse odds of winning.
Keep saving, keep questioning, keep panicking. The future of American retirement depends on people understanding how badly they're being screwed by the current system.
This has been Finance Panic, where retirement dreams meet mathematical reality. Until next time, remember, your 401k is probably screwed, but at least now you know why.